I mean, if you're a company that starts, like if you found a company today, it's such a different ball game.
Do you think it's gonna take our jobs away? Product designers, engineers, and product guys like us.
All legacy products, ourselves included, and it doesn't matter. Like if you look at like SaaS giants such as, HubSpot or Salesforce.
Hey, today we have a special guest with us, Anton Weihard, CEO and co-founder of Goava. If you have been watching my videos, you have heard about Goava before because, well, I work here. So he's my boss, basically. Anton has been leading Goava's growth, product evolution, and today we'll be talking about what it takes to build a SaaS product and the impact of AI and the future of tech jobs.
So today we have Anton with us. Welcome to the channel, Anton. Before
Thank
we
you so
dive
much.
into more details like regarding SaaS and product stuff, let's get to know you a little bit. So tell us more about you.
So yeah, I'm 36 years old. I'm a native Swede, and so I'm born and raised here in Sweden, where I'm currently recording from. But I've lived in Australia, I've lived in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, I've lived in New York, and now I live on the countryside outside of Stockholm, about an hour outside of Stockholm. And yeah, I'm a father of a little child. His name is Stellan. He's 18 months old, 1.5. We have a dog. Yeah, that's a little bit about myself outside of work.
Yeah, I heard that dog was like very cool, and yeah,
He
I
is
saw
pretty
some
cool.
videos of you.
Yeah, he comes with me to the office every day when I go in. Not today, however. I'm at the office, but today he's not with me.
Yeah, cool. So what got you interested in the world of tech and entrepreneurship? Was it always the plan, or you just stumbled upon it?
So, I mean, it would be a total lie to say that it was always the plan. I think the way I sort of got into it was, I mean, when I went to university, which was, between 2009 to 2013, it was sort of in an era where sort of internet companies were popping up left and right, and social media had entered the scene. I think my first sort of try at entrepreneurship was that I identified that in like 2011, that most small businesses were terrible at using social media, or they didn't even have any social media presence. So I set up a pitch for basically an idea to handle small business social media accounts. And I pitched it to one company, and they basically bought my services. And then I realized I couldn't scale it, so I just worked for them while I was studying. And then during my last year at university, I was approached by a professor of mine who connected me with a founder of interesting idea. It was basically like a funeral home, but as e-commerce. So he was a couple of months before planned launch. So I came in and worked with that company for about 4 years. During that time, I got to know some other sort of entrepreneurs, and I was introduced to the team behind Goava. So I was just sort of, I don't know, I got the entrepreneur bug in the sense that I couldn't see myself working at a large company where I, play maybe an important role, but on this tiny little thing. And I also thrive in the sort of earlier stages of companies where the amount of problems is much bigger than your successes. I really thrive and like that environment. So I think it was definitely by accident that I got into this. And the only thing that sort of prepared me for it was, I think, thanks to my parents. I grew up with a sort of, a pretty, I wouldn't say ambitious, rather with a mindset that I can probably do whatever I want. And if I fail, it doesn't matter, because they've always sort of teach me to, try and fail. That's never an issue. You'll always learn some things. I had like this confidence that I could probably try anything, and if it doesn't work out, that's okay. It will work out for me personally somehow. So short answer, it was by accident.
For me, it was actually, I discovered that there is a career in UX design when I discovered that in the early days of the mobile or smartphone stuff were poorly designed. And I thought this could be way better. Why is this like this? And then I pursued my UX career and started from there. And then people are like, it's not exactly a career. You should do more of a development stuff or maybe code. I didn't start it then. And then I started my UX career.
Yeah, but I can imagine that's must been influenced by the fact where you're located. I mean, both Bangladesh and India are sort of these tech hubs for, I mean, people think of engineers, not necessarily designers. So I can sort of understand why people around you, I mean, at least from an outside perspective, I can understand why people told you that. But I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, I actually graduated in computer science engineering. I know a little bit of coding, but I think I prefer design more because it's kind of my passion and I like to solve this type of design problems which are very difficult to solve, like we have at Goava.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, having an understanding, I also studied computer science for like a year at university, which, I mean, got me to the sort of level where I could like print hello world in Python and like very basic Java, even though, I mean, I've never written any meaningful code on my own. It gave me sort of this understanding of our space and being able to understand sort of the engineering challenges a little bit better but with no ability to solve it myself, but at least understanding that if someone says, well, this will actually take some time because this and that, I'll be like, okay, that probably makes sense.
Yeah, that really helps to build a better product.
Yeah, I think so.
So let's talk about our company. Okay, Goava was founded by, I think, multiple founders. Jonas was the previous CEO and then you stepped on. So let us have a brief journey to the point where you are the CEO.
Sure. So actually, I mean, the Goava journey started a long time ago. It started as early as 2011 with the idea that Jonas, our original founder, had. So he was co-founder of another company that was doing sort of media monitoring. So they crawled the web and found and tagged news articles and blog posts and stuff for like incentive and like sentiment. So it would typically be like media or like marketing departments that could subscribe to getting new alerts when there were mentions of their brands and stuff like that. And so he had this idea that maybe we should try and do this, but for B2B sales teams, because I mean, in 2011, basically they used the phone book. You had like a company name and a phone number, and you would just call them up and ask if they're interested in your services. So that's where the idea was born. And he didn't, like the other founders of that company, didn't really share that vision. So Jonas pursued this vision on his own and started a company called InfoSource, which he ran as more of a solo entrepreneurship thing for a few years with two developers, which also they came on with Goava. So they worked for Goava for a long time. So then he met up with one of the other co-founders who introduced him to the third co-founder, who introduced him to me as the fourth co-founder, and Håkan as the fifth, or sort of me and Håkan they talked to Håkan before me. But anyways, so then we had sort of the team needed to be able to try and take his vision to the next level. So that's when we started building Goava, which is now 8 years ago. And I started out, I mean, we didn't have any customers, obviously. We had like an almost ready product. So I started doing sales, and the first customers we signed based on like a Google slide presentation because we didn't have a working demo yet. We got our first few customers that way. And then over the next 12 to 18 months, we were able to sign maybe 30 or something customers. And by that time, we felt, okay, we've sort of somewhat proven that we can sell this. Now we need to retain the customers. So I sort of switched roles over to customer success and started building our customer success organization. And as the team grew, the customer success organization also grew. And with my sort of deep understanding of our customers, along with my understanding of sort of the engineering side of things, it was pretty natural for me to be very involved in sort of the product development. So that led me into a role as the chief product officer, which is a ridiculous title. It sounds like I had people working under me. I didn't. It was just me. So product manager, I guess, for all of our products, every feature was more accurate. And yeah, so I was doing that for 3 years, and then the opportunity came for me to take over as CEO from Jonas, as he wanted to start another startup journey. So yeah, I've been the CEO now for almost exactly a year.
Yeah. I remember the days when we used to work closely when you were the product manager or product officer. Now that there is little bit of a gap between us, but I think the chemistry between you and Hakan are kind of the key to this company, because what I like to think is if Hakan is the brain, then you are the heart. So that's why the product works better.
Yeah, I wish I hope that is true. Yeah, but I do miss, because I'm a product nerd, and I mean, it's sort of the only downside of my new role is that I don't get to spend as much time on the details of the product.
Yeah.
That, at least not as much as I would like to. I sort of need to hover on the more sort of strategic side and give input on direction rather than features typically. But then I'm glad that I at least get to join the design meetings once a week. That's about as detailed as it gets for me.
Yeah, great to hear. The design meetings are certainly helpful. Yeah. So as a SaaS founder, you have some challenges. Maybe you can mention one or two bigger kind of challenges that you faced during this 8 years of Goava.
There are so many lessons learned from this journey, and I mean, if I try to sort of break down the main things, that the challenges that sort of went where we went wrong, I think one of the first things was, I mean, in the sort of founding team, where when we set up what would then become, I mean, our way of working, our pricing, everything like that, we had both Håkan and Henrik came from working in sort of enterprise software. And we had Johan, another co-founder who was the chief sales officer. He also sort of came from enterprise sales. So we had this enterprise software and sales experience, but we were not building enterprise software. But it led us to build like an enterprise sales organization with a product that didn't really align with our go-to-market strategy. And that's something that we're currently trying to fix. But that has definitely been like the biggest challenge, that we were misaligned in our go-to-market strategy and our product, and basically making the product market fit less than it could be. And then, so that has been a challenge for sure. And sort of on the same topic, retention has also been a challenge. And I think one of the key things for the retention has been two things. One, that we haven't built a pricing model allowing for upgrades. So if we have super happy customers, they're like, oh, we love your product. I mean, they could be like, whatever you make, we'll buy it. But we didn't make anything that they could buy. So they were stagnating. Our most happy customers, they were just stagnating, not upgrading. And so in order for us to try and improve retention, we tried to save churn. And then we brought on this like bad fit customers, trying to save them from churning. And it was sort of like this never-ending loop of trying to build with the leaking bucket. And we've come a long way on the journey to really improve that, but it's an ongoing journey. Yeah, I think those have been sort of the two main challenges, I would say. But there are many more lessons.
Yeah, that we know. But now we are a better product than we were before, and I think we will continue to improve that.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, another sort of challenge has been, I mean, since we have been sort of designing like an enterprise software, in the sense like we're adding lots of tiny little features. I mean, that's been a challenge for design and like ease of use, and especially since like the product team and the sales team, they're pushing for new features, more complexity. And now we need to sort of take a step back. And I mean, this is the work we're currently doing now together with you, is like, how can we scale back? How can we make it simpler? What can we remove?
Yeah. At least for those users, we will not require any training or anything. They can be able to start Goava platform easily.
Exactly.
So moving on to more of a generalized SaaS questions. So when it comes to building a SaaS product, how do we prioritize features? What's your approach to product design and development?
So quite early on when I first stepped into the product manager role, my first step was like researching like, what does a product manager do? What should you think about? And I came across a blog post written by, I can't remember his name, but he was the VP of product at Dropbox. He had like a very simple system, which I thought was simple enough for someone like me to be able to learn it and put it into practice. And basically the idea was for each, like if you work with sprints, like most companies do, like for each sprint, make sure that you have prioritize features that are in 3 different categories. So metric movers, and metric movers are, the typically value creating things that moves a metric of your choice. So it could be, improve user stickiness, or it could be drive upsell, reduce churn, those type of features. The second category was customer requests, and this is like to make sure that you build on a feedback loop. And that one is sort of self-explanatory. But the third one I think is quite nice, and the category is delight, and it's this type of features that builds more of a emotional connection and value for the user. And it falls in the category of things like that could be a little bit fun. It could be adding like a nice little animation to something, and it's the small things that no customer is going to request, and it's not necessarily going to move any metrics, but it's like things that delight the users. So with these 3 categories, I tried to sort of maintain some kind of balance between the 3. Then in terms of prioritizing, I think the key thing is to spend a lot of time with customers and talking to customers, ideally, almost every day. So I sort of had a few customers, even when I was in my product manager role, I still managed like 5 or 6 customers that I sort of met with regularly. I joined calls with the sales team and with the other customer success team to basically get firsthand experience of the challenges that they experience with the customers, and then listen to the people that, like, when I wasn't able to join calls, listen to the people that talk to the customers. So listen to the customer success team, because they probably know, they do know their customers a lot better than you do then. But the third thing that you need to add to, like, when you get this sort of qualitative but also emotional feedback, as a person, you get influenced by your latest discussion. So then combining that with backing it up with data, so that we have sort of benchmarks on a lot of different product metrics, so we can see if something improves, a rate of something drops, look at the journeys they're taking, discovering that they're not taking the journeys that we plan for them to do. So it's super hard to make good product priorities, and I'm in no way best in class, but I think it's a combination, but I think of like looking at data and listening to other people, and sort of these metric movers, customer requests, and delight features. But more than anything, talk to customers. That's the best way to learn.
Yeah, being a customer-centric or user-centric are kind of the best way. I like when we did this approach to redesign our filter, and now it's working better than ever. So yeah. I love that particular journey.
Yeah, I think we should probably do more of that.
Yeah.
And because especially like in design, you have sort of it would be it's a similar challenge, but it becomes a whispering game. Like if the product manager doesn't talk to the customers, he gets the feedback from somewhere else. The product manager does an interpretation of something, interprets the problem we're trying to solve, passes it along to design. Design does an interpretation of the product. So it's in layers where you cut out the person that has the real opinion and the real problems.
Yeah.
But there are multiple reasons for why that happens. It's difficult to sync calendars, stuff like that. But yeah, ideally everyone should spend time with customers.
Yeah, that should be the main goal, being customer centric.
Yeah, exactly.
So as a CEO, how do you see design as a role? What impact it did on Goava?
So I think because you've been with Goava now, where is it, 4 years.
Yeah, I think about 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a big part of sort of the product journey that we have been on since sort of the start of our company has also been enabled through design. And where we are building something super, I mean, it's very complex. The product that we're building, it's basically not just one tool. I mean, it's a segmenting tool, it's a prospecting tool, it's a contact finding tool, it's a news tool. I mean, it's all these different types of tools combined. So it's unavoidable that it becomes complex. But I think in the way I think about sort of the role that design plays is really to be able to interpret sort of the goals that users are trying to achieve, and then draw the map, the simplest possible map that not even like a fool can go wrong with. I mean, that's the role of design, so that people understand the reality or the platform or the object that they're interacting with. So I think an important part of being, if you're, I mean, like yourself, if you're a good designer, one of the most important words you need to learn is no, because you'll have like business people and engineers saying like, we want it this way. And I think, yeah, as a designer, you need to be able to say no, like this doesn't work. It will, and it might be difficult, but I think it's very important to sort of not just be like a pixel pusher that follows directions from business people who don't know anything about design. So I see, if I use a metaphor, I would say that the sort of designers are the people that draw up the maps, and the people that draw the simplest maps are the best designers, in my opinion.
Great answer. There is a circle, or what do you call it? Innovation circle that I used to teach people. Is like you have to balance between viability, feasibility, and usability part, and then a designer should rise intersecting all of them, between all of them.
Yeah, and I think I mean what's been really good with working with you, and I mean you're also one of only 2 UX designers that I've ever worked with, so I don't have much comparison. But I think something that you do really well is sort of identifying things that not necessarily, that are not being prioritized by the business, but like you see something like this design, the way this interaction works, it doesn't make sense. Like if you don't understand it yourself or you get annoyed by it, I mean, you'll take a task and start drawing up the designs. And I think a lot of the best improvements that we've had have actually come from your ideas, which start as something like very, very simple. This is difficult to do today. Like maybe we could change this and that. And a lot of it falls in sort of the delight category, which is as important as the others. But yeah, and I think now that the role of design will change a little bit now, I think, because at Goava, since we are sort of on this journey to build like a simpler product enabling product-led growth, then the design aspect of things becomes even more important, because you're not going to have like a customer success manager holding your hand and teaching you the tool. Like basically it will be the design of the product that teaches you the tool. So yeah, it'll be interesting to work on this for the next year or so.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting. Yeah. So let's talk about one of the challenges that we like kind of touched on a little bit before, churn. So how do we can handle churn, and what strategies that we have applied in before, so our viewers can see?
Yeah. So I think one of the key learnings that I've had, without going into sort of customer success specific initiatives, we keep it more on a sort of strategic level. I think one key aspect is make sure that you have a pricing model that works for your market. I think pricing is probably one of the hardest things with building a business. Because you have so many factors to consider. I mean, you have your competition to consider. You have sort of the value of the problem that you're solving. You have budgets at the customers you're trying to sell to. And So make sure that you build like a pricing model that allows for upgrades for the things that create value. So that really happy customers that get a lot of value from your product so that they can buy more and find a sort of good level, entry level, and it could be free or it could be like a very cheap offering for people to be able to start using it, to lower the threshold. So that's one of the things that I think we have sort of missed in the past, which we're trying to correct now. The other thing is on a similar topic, rather than trying to fight churn necessarily, find ways to identify the customer segments where you should really focus your efforts on, to make sure they adopt the product really well, make sure they upgrade, because I mean, you will have churn. That's the bottom line. And I'm sure there are companies out there that basically have zero churn, but they must be very few. So churn is inevitable. And when you look at sort of the real business metric for churn is typically net revenue retention. And that also takes into consideration, it's not just churn, it's also downgrades and upgrades. So you take that and you get a product of that will become like your net retention rate, which is anything from 0% to sky's the limit. But for a SaaS company, if you want to build like a really strong offering and sort of make sure that, okay, you have pretty good product market fit, you want to have something that is over 100%. So that means that you can actually grow without taking on any new customers. And if you figure that out, then you're in a much better position to scale than if you are below 100%. And we've learned this the hard way.
Yeah. So moving on to the AI part, is Goava an AI company? What do you think? Since everyone is slapping AI to their name, but I'm not sure. We were using like AI stuff a long time ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say we fall in the category OG AI, like original gangster AI. Before, I mean, when everyone started slapping AI and everything, that was because it became super easy to use generative AI, such as ChatGPT and stuff. So, I mean, which has been transformative, really. But I mean, one of the core strengths at our company is in the engineering department. And we have such talent in the sort of machine learning space and artificial intelligence. So way before there were any generative AI tools available, at least not worth mentioning. I mean, we built our own models and trained them on tons of data to be able to classify news and to build like recommendation engines using collaborative filtering. So I would say most definitely that we are an AI company, and we were an AI company way before ChatGPT 3.0 launched. So yes, I would say we're an AI company.
Yeah. So as you said, there is a lot of buzz around AI powered SaaS products. Not exactly AI powered, but right now it's like kind of generative AI and large language model, those type of stuff. So do you see those as a fundamental shift or just as in another tool?
No, I definitely view it as a fundamental shift. And I think that the main reason for it is, I mean, the speed in which you can build stuff now if you're a company that starts, like if you found a company today, it's such a different ball game. And I think all legacy products, ourselves included, and it doesn't matter, like if you look at like SaaS giants such as, HubSpot or Salesforce, the only reason they'll be able to compete is because their product is sticky and they have huge budgets to build stuff. But I think the best software will be built by companies that start in this era, because you can basically build products so fast, take it to market, iterate 4 times in a week and learn and adopt very quickly. So, I mean, yeah, it's for sure a fundamental shift, not just another tool.
Yeah. And do you think it's gonna take our jobs away? Product designers, engineers, and product guys like us?
So I think out of those 3 categories, so product managers, designers, and engineers, I think one category is more safe than the other. Which one do you think that I'm thinking of?
Yeah, for me, I would say product designers, maybe not, but
Yeah, definitely product designers. Because I mean, I sort of proud myself on like trying every available SaaS tool and new technology out there. I know you are like an early adopter of everything as well. So, I mean, I've used tools like Lovable and Cursor and other sort of code generating softwares, and it's really impressive what they can do. So I think it's democratizing software building. You no longer need technical abilities. I mean, you sort of don't need it now, but in 12 months or 24 months, for sure, you won't need the technical abilities in order to build a SaaS product. That being said, if you're an engineer, then you'll be able to build better products, like more reliable, having an understanding of how the code actually operates is obviously still key. But the efficiency of engineers, I mean, it needs to improve drastically, it will improve drastically. So, I mean, yeah, I think it will reduce the number of engineering jobs. But one thing that sort of large language models can't be sort of taught is taste. So I think that's why I think the designers and product managers, I mean, that's large language models can go through every support ticket ever written and do like analysis of all the trends and generate like perfectly well written like product stories and things like that. So I think product managers should be wary of their jobs as well. But I think the designers, even though there are AI can generate designs and they will be sort of repetitions of what has already been done. They won't be able to innovate in the same sense that, at least not for now. And also sort of the distinct taste. I mean, AI generated designs will look like something that already exists, and it will be, it won't necessarily be good taste. And if you are a non-designer, if you're like a business owner or a founder and you have great taste, then sure, maybe. Yeah, I think the tastes and like minimal things like, figuring out like what's the perfect amount of radius on a button or whatever it may be, like how much padding should we have here. I mean, these types of small things, it comes from tastes and understanding human interactions. I think all jobs are sort of at risk if your job involves taste certain sort of creative skills. And problems, problem solving for sure, but like being able to identify problems in a good way is going to be like, and using tools, that's going to be so important. So I think since you can actually if you want, you can build and launch a SaaS product in a day today. It won't be a great product, but it will be a product. So I think they're probably, I know Lovable, it's a Swedish founded, actually, super proud of that one. It's like the world's fastest growing startup. They have this built they're on a mission to build the last piece of software. So in contrast to Cursor, they're building a platform specifically for non-technical people to be able to vibe code. And since everyone will be able to do that, it's about who can identify the best problems to solve. And don't try to solve huge problems. Leave that to someone else. Find the smallest possible problem that no one is solving or no one is solving well. So being able to identify those problems will be a skill, and has always been a skill required for great founders or people in general.
Yeah. I would think for designers, there are like two things, like as you said, like smaller stuff or minor stuff are already getting replaced, like kind of social media designs and marketing materials. I think we can do it via AI right now as per ChatGPT's new image generation model. We can do it right now, and there will be improvements upon that as well. But when it comes to scaling your product and maybe doing the complex stuff, as you said, those will require the craft still, I think.
Yeah, I haven't looked closely, but I haven't found like a good AI UX design tool. I mean, there's plenty of like image generation models,
Yeah.
But if you try to generate a design like as an image, which will then be interpreted over to like a vectorized design, at least I haven't seen any companies do that in a good way. So yeah, for now, you're safe.
Yeah. And also, like, I think as you said, adaptability is a bigger part of this, and trying to finding out the problems that we are facing are like kind of the key thing that will be requiring in the future instead of the raw development or design skills, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, if you are listening to this and haven't already started to learn using these tools it doesn't have to be like, don't worry about using the tools in a right way. Start by using the tools in a stupid or dumb way, and then you can sort of explore and discover meaningful ways of using it. But it's if you're not already using it daily for solving small tasks, then you should start doing it.
Yeah. So relating to that, the next question is, what advice would you give to product designers or maybe aspiring SaaS founders looking to build AI-enabled products?
Yeah, so the first thing is build super small. Like find a small problem. And this is also, I know that Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, he also talks about this, that find a really small problem and a niche market and get that done really well. Make sure you have great product market fit for that niche market. And once you have that done, then you can sort of start scaling the product, adding more features, covering more use cases, but start with something super small. And it could be if you are annoyed by the fact that, I don't know, in your Gmail inbox, it requires 3 clicks or 4 clicks to be able to mark all as read. And if you don't want to read your email, okay, build an app for that's automatic, through 1 click, marks all your emails as read. And then people are, I love this. Can I also add automatic follow-up, identify, sure. And then you start building a Gmail app that automates things. But start super, super small with a simple problem that doesn't need to be a problem that everyone has. Find a niche market that has this problem. And then go to market as fast as you can. Don't dwell on trying to build a perfect version. I mean, if you should try it out on anyone, try it out on a parent or something, make sure it's simple enough for them to use, and then go to market. Learn from people actually using your product. And especially if you're building a really niche product, then I'm sure there will be Reddit channels or Reddit threads or whatever that's for people with this specific niche, and just post a message there, get 4 users, and then obsess about those 4 users. If you do, they will be able to get you 4 more, and then 4 more. So yeah, start small and learn fast. And also fail. I mean, failing is inevitable step towards actually succeeding. So if your first 5 ideas doesn't work, don't worry. The next one, the idea that works will be around the corner. And I think for designers, I mean, you are much better suited to give advice to designers, but I think designers are in a great position now to become founders, because I mean, designers will have the knowledge and the taste, hopefully, to be able to build beautiful and usable products. And now they can also they can do the designs, and AI can help them write the code and ship your first. You just need to sign up for a Stripe account and enable a payment link, and you're in business. So
Yeah, I will start a product soon. So maybe by vibe coding.
yeah, you should definitely try doing it on your own at least. Then, I mean, if you learn that, okay, this doesn't really work, then you can bring on a technical co-founder.
Yeah, great. Great to hear. So, but as you also said about the layoffs and stuff like that, and us getting replaced by AI. So, what's your advice on navigating this uncertain market?
Well, I think in a way, and this is my personal advice, that part of my mantra, don't worry too much. If we start in that end, don't worry too much about things that you can't control. I mean, some things will crash and burn, and other things will flourish. And for yourself, don't worry too much about failing. Focus on, I mean, if there's any skills that I think is good. I mean, like I mentioned already, being able to identify problems and how to identify problems, well, you should probably read quite a lot. I mean, whatever it may be, like if you consume news on a website, or you read the daily paper, or you read books, talk to friends, like interact quite a lot. Talking to other people is usually a good way of like learning about other people's problems and such. So, I mean, stay like sort of consume a lot of knowledge and not just knowledge, but like have a lot of conversations as well. And then make sure you start using tools to understand what is possible, because already there are so many possibilities with this new technology that should excite you rather than worry you. So yeah, start using this technology for stupid things. Don't worry about like prompt engineering. Don't comment on every post on LinkedIn where they say like, I built the perfect AI agent, drop a comment to get my blueprint. Screw that. Like, go out and try and like build it yourself if you're interested. Like, learn through doing, because if there's anything that I've sort of love about being in a startup environment is that you get to try new things like every week, and you can always like, because what you did last week didn't work, or something has changed, you have a new problem. So being sort of quick to be able to adapt, because change is the only constant. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how much of advice it is, but like, read more, talk to people more, and don't be afraid of failing. It's an exciting time with wonderful opportunities. Start exploring those opportunities and you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Great advice. We are nearing the end of our podcast. I have one last question. What you like to do outside your work? Like, do you have any hobbies that you enjoy?
Yeah, so I have like one main hobby, or two hobbies. One is sort of shared with my wife, and it's more her hobby than mine, really. But so we live out in the countryside, and it's the first house we ever owned, and we've been there now for like 4 years. So part of the hobby is like building stuff. And so we have by city measures, we have like quite a lot of land. If you live on the countryside, you think we have a small land, but so we build quite a lot of stuff, like carpentry stuff, and we do everything ourselves, and she does 80% of the work. She's fantastic at that stuff. But my main hobby is running. So yeah, that's really like where I just love being out running. I especially enjoy like slow, long runs. I like the shorter, fast ones also. But yeah, there's something about running. It's so effortless. You can just open your door and you're out in the world. And the difference between, like, for me at least, walking and running is that if you go on a run, you can actually make it far enough to see something new, experience something. And it doesn't have to be like 40 kilometers. But if you go on a 10K run, I mean, you'll be able to see things, you can go out into nature. And it's the best way for me to unwind. I definitely, like, if I've had like a very, very busy day or something, like I go for a run and boom, it's gone. So now I'm very much focused so I have a couple of races coming up this year. So now I'm very focused on that. Like, next week is my first race of the season, so should be exciting.
Great to hear. Maybe kind of the same reason I drive scooters, because if you do a car travel or travel by bus, you don't get to discover a lot of stuff. But when you have a scooter, you can stop and enjoy the view or enjoy the stuff around you. That's a great experience. So
yeah, I think it's in that aspect of it, like the discovering parts, I think it's very similar. And for that reason, I I try to run different routes as often as I can. So, and I know that you go like almost every weekend on like a new discover journey with your scooter. So
yeah. Last week I've been to Madaripur. It's I think about 100 kilometers away from here, and it was a great one. So
yeah, much too far to run. I think the scooter is probably even better for discovering.
Discovering.
But who knows? Maybe one day, if my interest of running long distances keeps on growing, maybe I'll take, if Goava one day, is valued at a lot of money and we'll sell it, I'll take a full year off and I'll run to Bangladesh and back.
Yeah, Yeah, I've seen people doing this kind of
Yeah.
stuff in YouTube. And
Me
other-
too.
Yes.
I'm quite inspired. But running to Bangladesh from Sweden would be very long. I know that there was a Swedish adventurer that in the 90s, he biked from Sweden to the Himalayas, climbed Mount Everest, and then biked back home. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy actually. Okay. So Anton, thank you. This has been an insightful conversations, and thank you again for sharing your journey and knowledge with us. To all of you watching, if you found this valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. What's your biggest takeaway from today's discussion? Let me know in the comment section as well. That's it for now. See you in the next one.
Thank you, Firoz. Bye, everyone.